Yeah, I like big cases because they're easy to build into. They generally run cooler, and I think for a content creation box, you're going to want.
Nice.
I'm going to move this.
I'm gonna drop it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Are we doing air cooling or water cooling, asks Ryan?
So we're going to be using a CLC. We're not doing custom loop because you don't want to sit here and watch us for the next 4 hours.
Also, a couple people made a good point. If you fill all the slots with RAM, then you don't have to worry about which ones are which.
Yes, that's the way to go. But at the same time, if you fill all the slots with RAM, you probably can't run the RAM up at very high speeds.
Also, Ruru2 asks on YouTube, does this case come with the power supply or not?
This case does not come with the power supply.
What?
I have a philosophy on that. If I'm building an ultra budget, I know Elena and Brad hate it. If I'm building an ultra budget case, I go with the case that gives me the power supply. Because at that point, every penny counts. Literally every penny.
Dude,
at this,
all I gotta say is if you wait for the right timing, last week we saw, I think it was last week, we saw $10 after mail and rebate budget. Like,
with the power supply?
no, budget power supply. Brand name. As long as you're good with mail and rebate, it's fine.
It's $10. $10 gets me one more step closer to a better video card or a faster.
Not these days.
So, okay,
Not the winners.
we actually considered, one thing we did consider, like, hey, maybe we should pre-game this. We should put some of the case together, that way you're not watching us just thumb twiddle the whole. We should probably mount the cooler before we put the motherboard, or we could do both at the same time. This is the Corsair H100i V2.
By the way,
Yeah.
you know, Buzz, I don't know, on YouTube, he's saying Yingling is a pretty damn good beer. I really appreciate that. I love Yingling. What are you guys' favorite beer to build PCs with?
The free beer is the best beer.
There we go. Free beer is the best beer.
The cool thing about this is our excuse for drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
Yeah.
your excuse to drink at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. All right. So again, this I considered pre-gaming this, actually putting some of this cooler together last night, but I decided against it.
By the way, I'm putting in chat. I'm testing out this live streaming camera thing. So I just put a link to my my pirate stream on my channel. I'm actually streaming this out. It's just a little
first-person view.
Yeah,
Pretty.
a little view of what other. It's my pirate stream, you know.
He's getting meta. He's getting
Yeah.
the live
Stream within the
stream.
stream.
Live stream.
Wait, so is that like some kind of creepy thing you use in the subway in Japan? Because that looks like it.
Or in America.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be only in Japan.
Yeah, that's true. But definitely, that's like the pioneers of that creepy thing you see later. Anyway, okay. H100. I know some people think I should have used a larger cooler, but no, Threadripper doesn't run terribly hot. I think it'll be fine. Here are the instructions. I will get this out just in case. I'm going to leave this part in here. This is covered. There's thermal paste on there. I leave that on to the end because if you're going to be flopping this thing around, you're going to rub that off and stuff. Then you're going to go, oh, now I've got to go out and get thermal paste. They've already pre-applied it for you. Look at this. Oh, look. Holy smokes.
What is that?
I do like, of course, this is not going to apply for us, but this is labeled.
Oh, nice.
Right? Because what they typically do is, so this is for an AM4. Typically, they just go like, oh, look at the black one. And you know, on a certain lighting, they all look exactly the same. So the fact that they're labeled, so AMD for a AM3 socket, an AM4 socket, and of course this is Intel, which is not labeled, which is kind of a bummer. I kind of wish they used to make them like bright orange, bright red, and you know, so you knew, so you because.
Yeah, but what if you're colorblind?
Well, yeah. You pull all the stuff out of the box, you're like, which one goes, and then you look at the manual, and you can't tell which one goes with which socket. So this one goes with Intel, AM4, which,
I mean, it's a nice touch they already even separated it out.
and then you have one for screws. It would be actually nice if they actually labeled all the bags.
Better or worse than IKEA?
Better.
Yeah,
I would say better.
So, this is the worst thing about CLCs, is all the hardware about the fans. This is your USB for the cooler. It's an intelligent cooler. Some people like that. It's kind of cool. I kind of like the old dumb coolers. You don't have to worry about it all.
We got a good comment in from Brad Charkis. Real pros build PCs wearing only undies and an anti-static strap while sipping purified water.
That could work. So,
Is he describing his own process?
Yep.
Where does Brad attach the strap?
Whoa.
so here's the thing. Now, do you want to? I'm glad. I actually recently built a Thermaltake cooler, and for the life of me, I couldn't find the directions. You know, typically this is the exhaust side, right? So here's the intake side, but it wasn't labeled. So you got to look at your fans. You'll see this. I want to point this out. If you've built this before, I know this is for everybody. Not everybody has built a CLC or has dealt with it. Fans will usually have arrows showing you what direction the fan spins. I don't care about the direction the fan goes in. What I want to know is which way the air blows. So on these label side,
I totally messed that up on my first build that I had a CLC.
you know the
I was
classic.
like, oh.
Now the classic though is you take this one. Now, I'm not going to say who did this, but I know somebody who did this. They took it. It blows this way, right? And so pretend this is a single rad, so just a single, you know, width cooler. He built it so that it blew in here, and the other one was built the other way, because look, that's kind of pretty, right? You're like, oh, I want to see the logo on both sides. Well, now the problem is this one's blowing in this way, and this one's blowing in this way. This really happened. This person did wonder, like, what's going on? It's like, dude, didn't you look at the fans? No. So, like, if this were just a single, you know, fan radiator, like one of those typical double ones, you would want to make sure the airflow is going correctly. Rookie mistake. Don't force the air into itself. It goes nowhere. Whatever it will overheat. It'll make a lot of cavitation noise. You don't want to do that.
Isn't that twice the wind though?
Twice the wind? Yes, twice the wind going into it. So, okay, on this one we're going to mount. Now, this is the hard part. So where do we... This is the reason why I kind of like doing it out. We're going to do it out of the case. Well, first I'm going to remove, this is a dust filter. Save that. It's supposed to do something. I don't know if I've ever seen the dust filters do anything, but...
Brad says that you didn't want to say who it was because it was actually you.
No, it wasn't me.
Right.
Because I was the one who figured it out. I wouldn't be...
How long did it take to figure it out?
Well, it was like, what's wrong with this? It's so loud. It's like,
Everyone's screaming for Elena to help you, Gordon.
Yes, okay,
You're
Elena,
stumbling.
Elena. This is gonna be Caltrans. So here's
You just said this is gonna be a Caltrans.
Caltrans crew. I'm just gonna like, that's California State. Hey, we appreciate you. Obey the cones. Slow down when there's workers, and also Caltrans rule number 1: only one person is allowed to work at a time. But so. Here's the thing, it's like you're gonna go, oh, I'm just gonna take these, I'm gonna mount them in here. So the washers, now this is the one thing I never can get, because it's different for each one. Sometimes some of these washers go here, sometimes the washers go on the outside when you mount it to the case. This one probably looks like, you're just gonna mount it like that. But, you're just gonna be tempted, oh, I'm gonna put this whole thing together. Now, wire management, where do you want this wire to come out? Because you gotta think about that. Because you put the fans in, and you go like, oh, I don't like the fan coming out, it's kind of ugly. So you got to think ahead of time. So we're going to mount this. It's probably going to go into the system. So let's think. This is not the most flexible thing. You also don't want to put a crap load of fans in this, because that's what's going to make it leak, right? You're going to put excessive angles on this thing. Not going to be good. So probably better like this. So we're going to mount hoses over there. The CPU will be in this area, so we know this cooler will go in this general area, right? Hose is going to go that way. We don't have a lot of bends. not putting a lot of stress in these hoses. So now where are my fan cables gonna go? So now I wanna go, you know what? Normally, I don't honestly give two craps about wire management in my own builds because, you know, it's just that way. But I think probably like that, if I really wanted to. But then you also gotta look, hey, where is my motherboard? Where are the power cables on my motherboard? Or where's this plug in? It's gonna plug into on this one. Some of them plug into motherboards. On this particular cooler, it plugs in to the pump. So
Would you like to actually see what the fan headers are?
yeah, the fan header. So like if this were a CLC where you are plugging into your motherboard, you're gonna go, oh, fan headers are usually right here. That's where they usually go. But again, this CLC is a smart one. You plug it into the fans, you plug it into the pump. I believe, I have not looked at instructions. It's been a little while since I've built one of these. So I'm gonna plug it directly, so maybe it doesn't matter much. I think I'm gonna plug this, it's gonna be like this. So now I can minimize the amount of wires. So I think I'm gonna mount these fans like this. So we're gonna get both wires coming out from the same area. So we are, since people want Elena to work, and I can drink my beer.
What?
Elena can do this. So Elena is going to, this is a ratchet shear.
Oh, you want the person with the bad wrist to do this?
So you do this.
I can do that.
So yeah.
You got it.
Did we figure out what we're doing with the washers?
I'm gonna look at the manual, but I believe the washers go on the outside of the case.
You mean this piece of, this collection of paper that everyone tells us is not looking
You don't have to look at that. I'm almost certain that this, oh, but see, you got the little grommets. See this one? This has, see again, this is a very nice touch. Look, there's, oh, our hard drive delivery guys here. So our 10 terabyte drive just showed up.
Thank you.
So this will
This
actually
is not
plug.
helpful. I love manuals like this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
10 terabytes. We got it.
Our storage reviewer was using it to review a NAS drive. Now, of course, we are reusing it to actually put into the system. 10 terabyte Barracuda Pro. Awesome, awesome hard drive. Massive amounts of aerial density. This thing just cooks. It actually is probably as fast as some slow SSDs in sequential reads. So,
Looks like the washers are actually for mounting the rad to the case.
yeah. So it'll be on the outside. This will go through these little rubber things. The little rubber things, just so you know, they reduce vibration, makes it for a quieter build. In the old days, you just mounted the damn thing to the case, and it just vibrated all day, drove you crazy. So on this case, we're just mounting these screws to the rad. There we go. I'm gonna have some beer. Elena's gonna do that.
Ruru2 says washers are for metal on metal contact. That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if the screw head is too small, but I mean, you probably could get away with it. What I'm going to use it for, though, I'm going to use the washers and these heads. Boy, that's the wrong one. This goes with the hard drive cage.
You mixing them all up?
Yeah. So here's a great tip, though. Take the screw that you took out of it, put it back in the hard drive cage.
Keep it all together?
Yeah.
Would you like this?
No, it's good. We're just going to hand tighten these in.
Yeah. Also, Robert McKay. Yeah, that's a good idea. You should probably jump from the stream if you're going to be a jerk like that. So, see you later.
Okay. So I want to use the washers on these because of the little rubber grommets. I think these heads are a little small. Over time, they are going to mess up those little the rubber bumpers, the rubber baby
Buggy bunkers.
Rubber baby bumpers. They're going to mess them up. So I'm going to use the washers in that.
They're getting back for OSHA. This wet messes up my wrist more.
Oh, yeah.
Busted.
All right. See, the thing is, you don't have to put them all in. We can cheat too. We can just sort of like.
Wouldn't super glue work faster? The super glue it in.
Yeah, there you go.
So I gotta say, this is actually really nice to have two people dealing with the Medusa here.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing this on your own, man, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it is no fun to do it all by yourself. So I mean, we're not blazing to do this. Really, if you were doing a build,
It's not a speed test. We still have beer.
If you were actually building a PC, you could build it in under an hour, 20 minutes even, depending on how much crap you've got to deal with. CLCs, there's definitely a little more work. But I think the idea of having a beer, just kind of kicking back, going slow. The thought is, it's like whittling. It's actually really nice to build a PC. It's like relaxing.
Until you get to the moment, we're not sure if it's going to post or not.
Yeah, it's relaxing till then it doesn't work. then it's no longer relaxing. What you want to have is another PC, so that when the PC you just built doesn't work, you can then look up what the hell you did wrong. See how this is? And the reason I like this ratcheting the screwdriver is look at this. This should be an ad for Snap-on. Now I'm going to go back and make sure I've torqued all these down properly. So I don't want them to eventually back themselves out and fall into my case on my video card. Probably not going to happen, but you know what? The way the world works, you will be that one person the screw will back out on and short out your video card or your motherboard.
Wow, that's a lot of steps all over there.
Yeah, so here we go. So now we're going to go ahead and mount it. Yeah. First we'll put the board in and then we'll mount it. Yeah, let's put the board in, then we're going to mount it. So again, when you think of your own build, don't if you're looking at a YouTube video, look at a bunch of different ones. You know, the circumstances dictate the steps you take. So some big cases like this, you put the board in. Sometimes little tiny cases, you're going to want to put everything in the board and then drop it in the case. It all depends. Don't go. There's no
Yeah, I was going to say
one way to
earlier,
do this.
when you were talking about putting the RAM in later, you don't always have that luxury with the small cases.
Now here again, this is a critical step. Critical step. Put the I/O shield in. Oh, that's usually.
That's how Gordon opens his candy bars.
This is really
He just
shred it, right? This is, you know,
That's
this.
a nice I/O shield.
Yeah, they're really nice, and you know, I got it. Gigabyte does a nice job here. I mean, again, the shout out goes to ASUS. I think they were the first ones to put these nice little. Remember how now I don't have an older one. The old style I/O shield had the little cutouts. They would have little grounding fingers that you were supposed to push onto the sockets and all the ports so that it would get proper grounding. Blah blah blah. But what people would do is they wouldn't bend them in, so they would clear the port and then they would install it, and the little fingers would jam into the ports. It was just a mess. This soft backing was a huge improvement over that. Even better is what ASUS is doing now. You don't even have it. It just simply goes in. So the easiest way to put this in, make sure you get the orientation correct, right? So we are looking on this. You can read this, so it's going to go in like this. You may have to, if you don't know, you may just have to match it with your motherboard, just so you don't put it in the wrong way, right? So you know the motherboard's going to go like that. We're going to put it in here.
Obraxis is saying, don't forget to check the motherboard offsets in the case against the board.
Yes, that's also a
Yeah.
very important tip.
Also, this is what Brad was hoping you'd forget, was the I/O shield.
Yeah, this is a classic. So this, when you make this, I gotta say, this is the nice thing. This is a premium I/O shield. In the old days, it was basically a Coke can that had been bent into little shapes and had a hole in it. You push on this thing, the damn things would cut into your finger.
Or you would twist and one side would pop out or you'd pop another one in.
Yeah, so this is really nice. One thing I want to know, people who don't know how to get these things out of there, easiest way is just take your screwdriver, tap the butt of it into it, it'll pop right out. So, or you can push it into it. But again, these new kind of really nice I/O shields, that Gigabyte and ASUS are using, or you don't have to worry about that. Did I just bend a little bit? There we go. You can also use it if you want. If yours is a little out of sync, you can use a little bit, little pressure, tap it in there. Okay, somebody just mentioned, hey, make sure the offsets are correct.
Dan.
what you're talking about. Dan, was it?
No, go, keep going.
So on the offset, so you got holes in the motherboard, right? They're gonna cut through this down in the motherboard. You wanna make sure you got 9 holes in the motherboard, typically. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one's 8. So this is 8. So you wanna make sure that there are mounts for each one of these. You also don't wanna have more mounts. So for this, they are reloading the camera. What are we doing here?
The nice thing about this case is that they're already in. Sometimes you have to put it in yourself.
Okay. So look, so check it out. So we counted. Look, there's 8 holes. A lot of motherboards have 9. Some of them now with all these big fancy heat sinks, not as many. So you want to make sure that there isn't one that you don't need. In this case, right here. Check this out. So once we get this board in place, you're going to go, oh, just start screwing stuff in. Well, the problem is, check this out. I don't know, Dan, if you get an angle on there. It's a classic rookie mistake. This one right here is going to go nowhere. It's going to push into the back of the motherboard. And on this page, yeah, you might screw something up. So I would definitely now pull that mount. Is it hand tight? Oh, nice. This is another good example. I'm actually going to, some cases actually give you a tool to mount these things. This one, since they're pre-mounted for you, it doesn't have, oops, sorry, doesn't have it. So I'm going to pull this one.
Gordon, always with his trusty Leatherman.
Leatherman surge. So you just loosen it up, back it out with your finger. This is actually a good time to do a lesson. This is pre-mounted for you to make your build a lot easier. You know, you may have to move these around. So like if this doesn't fit your motherboard, you have different mounting points, you have a larger motherboard. Another rookie mistake you make is you put this in. This case again is already pre-built for us and I already have the mounts. But if you're putting this in, a lot of people go, okay, hand tighten, I'm good, time to get another beer. Well, the problem is now, you have mounted this just by hand. You put a screw into this. You have a problem 3 months from now. You start unscrewing the screw in this thing, and instead of the screw coming out of this mount, the entire mount backs out. And you're kind of screwed because then it hits the back of the motherboard, and then it's just stuck. You just basically, you can't actually remove the screw from the motherboard because it won't, it keeps pulling on this mount. The whole thing gets stuck, and I have seen this many, many times. I'm not going to say, another person I know did it as well. We had to pull out 3 mounts. You got to. I recommend getting, you know, a small wrench. You don't want to scratch the motherboard. I know it drives people crazy when I use just a pliers. You really want to torque that sucker in there. So it doesn't back.
One thing I like to do sometimes is put a rubber band between the screw and the wrench.
Oh.
Keeps it gets a better grip and also helps it from
Oh, okay, that's good. So, I'm going to show you another cool feature. This again is awesome. This is like, kids today, it was not like this 10 or 15 years ago. Check this stud out. There's a little stud in the middle. It basically, you don't have to screw anything in, but what this does is it lets you line the motherboard up. So now you just drop that in there. Like, look, all the screws are ready for you to use. You don't. It's
sometimes a hook. Nice.
And in the old days, it wasn't like that. Now the other problem is make sure you get all the parts not mixed up. I'm going to imagine these are the correct screws.
Which is actually the manual.
Oh boy. Yeah, it must be, right? Oh no, here we go.
I got it right here.
There we go. We have fan screws, coarse fan screws, it looks like maybe.
In the old days, Gordon had to walk 10 miles to get a screw.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah.
In snow. Negative
Yeah,
5 days.
you know, what we should do is buy like an in-wing case from the late 1990s on eBay.
Why buy it? I'm sure I got one in my closet somewhere.
And compare it to a modern case, a modern in-wing case or a modern case anybody makes. There is just a world of difference. People have no idea how bad it used to be to build the cases. They just don't know. So this is what I love. Magnetic screwdriver. You're gonna like, people are gonna say, don't use a magnetic screwdriver, you're gonna race your hard drive. No, you don't want to do that because it sucks. Because if it's not magnetized, you are going to drop that screw. It's going to bounce around somewhere in your case. You're not going to find it, and then in 3 months, you're going to find it when it drops into your motherboard.
So if your magnetic screwdriver touches anything, it's totally fine.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I will do this. Look, this is a $400 hard drive. Oh, it's going to be fun.
Is it because the magnets are so weak, or magnets just, what is it?
I have no idea. I just know it's never messed anything up in a long time. I mean, maybe if you have if you go fishing in the river for garbage with your rare earth magnet, yeah, we would keep that away from your hard drive. So yeah, probably the strength of magnet.
Ryan on YouTube's asking, are we using cable extensions?
This should not require cable extensions. When we get to the power supply, I'll talk to my philosophy there, but I think, I mean, they work. We're not going to need it. So when I like to build a system, I'm not really concerned with making it super clean. Definitely on the CLC, I wanted to make sure we got the fans in right, because I did not want to pull it out and take it apart. But I don't worry about making it tidy when I'm first building it, because I believe in not angering the PC building gods. If you make it all nice and neat, and you've never posted the damn thing, the PC building gods will then make your system not boot, and you will have to rip everything out to figure out what the hell's going on. Now here's another thing. You put this thing in here, make sure you torque everything down. You don't have to use an excessive amount of pressure, but you don't want these things to back up, right? Should we have Elena do it? Wait, Elena has wrist problems. We don't want to have an OSHA violation here, so.
How come you're not using a Torx?
Oh, for this, yeah, you don't need it. But. Okay, so the motherboard's, we got the motherboard mounted in here. So wait, you put a rubber band on the end, so it doesn't.
So you know you have the rubber band that's a round thing. I just take part of the strip and I lay it over like the screw, and then I put the wrench on top of that and grip it, so that way I get a little bit better grip, and it also keeps it from marking it too much.
Okay.
You'll destroy the rubber band after enough, wrenches on it, but I mean you got a whole section of it to keep working with.
Stealing from work. That's my advice.
What if you use a piece of gum so that it sticks the gum to the screw, and then you just eat the gum afterwards?
Would you really want to put it in your mouth at that point, Joe?
Gordon would.
I don't know how you know that.
All right, so we can put the cooler in. Okay, do we want to put the power supply in? Maybe we'll do the power supply, run some of the wiring, and then put the cooler in afterwards. That way, because we gotta come up here and get to the power of the motherboard up here, over here. So I'm gonna grab this power supply.
How big is this power supply, Gordon?
This is a 1,000-watt power supply.
Also, Ruruchu says in the old days, Gordon had to mine the iron ore from a river,
Yes.
work 5 hours to forge the screw.
You have no idea what it used to be like. Whoa, this thing is
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
pepper. They are pretty good cookies. All right, I am going to clean up some of these screws. All right. So this is a Corsair RM1000i. 10-year warranty. You want to know if the power supply is good? Look at how long the warranty is. Also, make sure you can get a warranty, because some of them that offer lifetime warranties, it doesn't matter if there's you can't reach the company, right? So I have seen cheap free power supplies that have really great warranties.
You mean the ones that come in the cases?
The ones that come in the cases, but then you have no way to reach them. So yes, great warranty that you can't then cash in. So, there you go.
It's the lifetime of the product.
Lifetime of the product, no. All right.
Might come with a company.
The product dies, that was the life of the product.
I'm surprised. I've not heard anybody complain. I've screwed something up. Usually I will screw
Oh,
something
no, you're getting plenty of complaints. Don't
Really?
worry. Yeah, I'm just not talking about it.
Let's hear some of them. Which different way would you do this? Any different advice?
Everyone just says you're doing it way too slow.
Well, we are talking. We're not, I will say, I know the person who won, Will Smith actually won a building contest, PC building contest. Not really building, because there are a lot of things you didn't have to do, but he cut himself doing it. I've never actually done the Kobayashi Maru at CES. You can definitely do this a lot faster. But look, I'm having a good time. I'm drinking a beer. We're building the system. It's like, you know what? If you're saying we're building too slow, that's like saying, hey, you're fishing too slow. The whole point of it is to enjoy it. That's the whole point. Can you fish too slow? No. Is it? Can you? I don't know.
So are you capable of being fast?
Oh, of course. If I wasn't talking.
Who would you be able to beat Will Smith?
You want to get rid of this table first?
I think you should set a challenge. I think you should call someone out and challenge them.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a building contest.
Oh, there, I like that. What about, how come you're pointing it down instead of into the case?
So I like to do that because look, I'm going to imagine that this is sucking air in. If I orient, now again, this is a different philosophy on how you build systems. Some people like, oh, I want it to suck air in because I'm believing this is the intake. If this fan is the same as the other ones, the label is the intake. I can suck air in from the case and blow it out the back, but you don't want, that means you're sucking hot air from your system and heating up your power supply, decreasing the efficiency. If you mount it like this, all new modern cases have air intakes on the bottom, so you can suck air in from the bottom, cooler air through the power supply. In fact, people don't know this about power supplies, but those efficiency ratings and the wattage rating is based on the temperature. So the lower the temperature, the better the efficiency, the more power you can get out of it. If you suck it in here and you've got a three-way SLI system and you're running Prime 95 and all this other stuff, and it's 180 degrees in your case, you're sucking that hot air into your power supply, now heating your power supply up, reducing the efficiency. And that's why we're taking so long, because I'm talking.
So you're saying if there is a vent, suck in through the bottom. If there is no vent, then suck in through the top.
If there is no vent, yes. But if there is no vent, then you have a case from 1995.
With a built-in power supply.
This is a fully modular power supply.
Yep, and there's a couple people in the chat saying they love modular power supplies.
I hate modular power supplies.
Why is that, Gordon?
Well, my main reason, and let's just, look, I wish I had an old school power supply, but you used to be able to fit everything out of one little corner, right? You had all the cables snake in, but it was there. But look, now you've got this, you plug all these things, and you've got all this space taken up by modular power supplies. Modular power supplies, although it's not really a problem because they engineer them properly these days, but you know, that's another connection point. That's one more thing that could fail. Another thing I really hate about modular power supplies, you lose these damn things.
What are you doing with that? That's what I want to know.
Well, what do you do with them after, right? You know what you do is you're like, oh, I'm going to put this on the shelf.
No, what you do?
I'm only going to build with one cable. I'm going to put it on the
Oh
shelf.
my God. Gordon, doesn't everybody do this? I take my motherboard box and I put all my spare shit in that thing, so that way if I need to do something with my build later, I know where all that stuff is.
Yes, and then what happens is like, oh, hey, honey, I just got a brand new hard drive. Where's that box of things? Oh, I recycled that. You didn't need that.
People don't touch my stuff.
Yeah, people are going to do it. So now you curse yourself.
By the way, Brad says Gordon is wrong.
Yeah, he says that. But
So
you know what?
officially.
And the worst thing is like you go like, well, it's fine. I can't find that cable. No problem. I'll just grab these modular power supplies from a Thermaltake or Silverstone. I'll use in my Corsair. Yeah, I would not do that because you have no idea if they did the pinouts the exact same way. I would do it. You might look, and you can't even look at the voltage. Look, this is. I know it's pretty. People like it. People go like, oh, I want all the cable black. Well, how do you know what's on what rail? It used to be yellow. It used to be red. It used to be white. So you know, like, okay, I can tell. You can't even tell anymore on these things, right?
So you want them to be RGB.
Well, I want them just to, they won't get lost, and you really don't save any space.
Actually, are there RGB power supplies out there?
Yes, there are. Actually, I
man.
think anyone had an RGB power supply at a coffee shop.
Also, what's that? I've never had this nice of a power supply. What's that Corsair Link thing with the USB plug and everything? What the hell is that?
This is a USB connector, although it's mini USB, interestingly, probably because it's beefier. And what this does is it plugs into an open USB header on your motherboard, lets you monitor the power on your power supply, And I'm sure if you really wanted to, you can say, hey, I want to increase the voltage or something because I want to blow something up or something.
Interesting.
It just gives you more controls. You know, people who build their own PCs, they want more control, right? So it's really cool. The software has really gotten better. It used to look like it was from an industrial machine. Now it's really gotten a lot better. The latest version of the Corsair software.
Sorry, Gordon, you're not getting any love for the
not liking power supply?
the modular power
But look
supply.
at all this. Look, it used to just take up a 1 inch by 1 inch hole on your power supply.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have that whole rectangle nest afterwards that you're not using.
Well,
Yeah,
obviously
you know
we know that Gordon doesn't like, you know,
This one too.
cable management and nice, pretty
CPU one.
inside of the cases. So.
We should just show Gordon's desk as proof positive of that.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I mean, it's a really effective way to keep people from stealing his stuff, though. If you're able to find anything on it.
Also, you know, crap. Look at this. Chuck makes a great point. Gordon, why don't you just plug in all of the cables
And I
just
do
leave
that.
them there?
In fact, I do that in all of the builds that I've done here for testing. I plug them all in because I know in 6 months there will be a box of cables that are not labeled. What they should at least do is label the damn thing. Corsair, Silverstone, thermal tape. Guys, you just need to put like a label that says fits this power supply, or there should be a uniform standard. But they don't have that.
Actually, you know what? You do have one defender. Well, I found one defender, WW2V2. Says he likes Gordon's view on things. He's a simple man. He's a practical man. Yeah.
But look at all the cables. Look, we're gonna need, we're gonna need power for the fans. We're gonna need power for the SATA drive. Look at all this. It used to just be one little tiny bundle. I'm still complaining. All right, we got, where's our EPS 12B? Yeah, I guess there's our EPS 12B off of here too. Yeah.
You're good.
See the video cards.
You only need one. Yeah, use the
So
video
you
card.
take the rest of this and you throw it away because you're never gonna find it. You
Put
will
it in the
never
motherboard.
find it again.
Put it in the goddamn motherboard box.
Yeah, and then that will get e-wasted with the, like your VHS player.
At that point, it probably means that you can move on to a new build.
No, because power supplies last forever. One other reason you may want to mount it this way is, look, this is not reversible.
But
You mount it that
actually,
way.
I think both sides showed it correctly. If I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
you're right. Let's see. Is Dan right? Oh, whoa! Very clever. Now that is really smart. Look at it.
Nice.
See, Corsair's thinking here. Look, you want to suck in the top this way. Man, what if you have an inverted case though?
Then you're screwed.
Then you're screwed. I haven't seen an inverted case in a while.
I gotta think that if you're paying that much money for a power supply, they're gonna put nice touches on it like that.
Yeah. And it is a nice power supply, and you know.
What size do we realistically need for this?
Oh yeah, good question. We had somebody ask that earlier. I forgot.
You know, I think, oh God, in fact, for this video, I'll find the link. There's a power supply calculator. It's super popular. I've been talking for a while.
Outer Visions.
Outer Vision's power supply calculator. They have, like, I think even UL support now, and a lot of power supply vendors will actually support them. So Outer Vision's power supply calculator, awesome. My point, especially in a big build like this, you don't know what you're going to put in the system 2 or 3 years from now. Put in a bigger power supply than you need. I don't understand why people want to build a really nice system and then put in an undersized power supply. Of course, you don't need a 1600 watt power supply for this, and that would just be spending such amount of money. It's also not going to be running as efficiently because you're going to be so lightly loaded, but a bigger power supply is going to run better on a hot day.
Do you think a 650 would be enough?
I don't know. Well, no, because we're running a 1080. We're running a Threadripper. I think 650 is probably borderline. I'd probably feel more comfortable with 850, maybe even a 750. But you know, hey, a little extra power, all these cool features. It's worth it. It's just better to have the headroom. You don't know what's going to happen. If it's 100 degrees that day, the efficiency of that power supply goes down, and you may have problems. So stop cheaping out. And this is the classic thing too. People Of course, now they do buy nice power supplies, but people, I know I buy cheap power supplies and cheap builds, but
You don't buy them.
No.
well, I mean, they come with it. But there are people who will go like, oh, I want this certain brand video card, and it's because they have this type of memory or this type of cooler. But then they just like, oh, I'm just gonna buy any power supply. Well, power supplies do matter.
We're moving on to the cooler finally.
Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wire the motherboard up.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move the back. So,
Wait,
yeah, I mean,
did you already screw in the mother or the power supply? Everything all good?
power supply's in.
Now you just running cables?
Here, we're just gonna run it.
Did you not see it beforehand?
Todd asks, why not use Noctua coolers?
What was the question again?
Why not use Noctua coolers?
This is Gordon's build.
I know I was saying I don't really worry about let's wire it this way. This is for reduce the, that's pretty clever. So that's nice, because your CPU power is here. So it's really close, you get that nice and tidy. We're gonna come up here. Oh, wait a minute, I need another 4-pin. I probably don't really need it, but it's optional. This is your ATX 12V EPS 12V connector. Rookie mistake. People plug in the main power connector, they forget to plug this in, it won't boot. It just won't boot, nothing happens, and you go, what did I do wrong? I forgot to plug in this up here.
Dan, bump up the ISO one.
Huh?
It's too dark.
Too dark?
No,
There we go, no, we're good.
Oh, we're good, okay. So again, classic mistake, is you plug in your ATX 12V, or you plug in your main power connector is the official name for it. This is pretty good.
Are you worried about coverage with these coolers in the case?
You mean hitting cables?
No, like getting enough airflow.
I think we should be okay. You mean with the water cooler?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're
Well,
sucking
then
air
just
in.
what is that? Just one intake in the front, or no? There's two.
There's two in front, so we're getting air blowing over the video card. We're gonna have the air flows at the top, and look, this thing is just basically an open box with the top. When you install your main power connector, make sure you get that all the way in. It should click a little bit. It's really hard to hear sometimes. It only goes in one way, so you can't screw that up. Same thing with here. Make sure the EPS 12V, ATX 12V is plugged in.
Oh, and Cy brings up a good point. If you have a really tall case like this, make sure you have cables that are long enough to reach up the back.
Wait, what's the question?
Oh no, Cy was just saying, yeah, if you have a real tall case like this, make sure you have the cables that are long enough to reach.
There we go. So it's another one. So again, so this board, a lot of these high-end boards, they have all kinds of extra power. This looks like an ATX 12V connector. I could probably get away with not plugging that in. A lot of boards for the auxiliary power is just if you're going to be running 4 video cards, if you're going to be doing overclocking sports, you need all that crazy amounts of power to it. It probably runs fine without it. I'm just going to plug it in because then I can show you this. So this is, so we have already our EPS 12V. This is a 4-pin, it's called ATX 12V. So we're going to go, well, okay, well, this is a 4-pin. Oh, really? It's not split, it's got to be split, right? Oh yeah, this one's split. So you plug this into your CPU connector, wherever that is, not going to worry about it, but check this out. So you take this and you go like, well, I can't make it fit. Well, these are split. There's a little bit of a tool there, a little bit of a clip. And then we're just going to squeeze this. Sometimes you can just plug them in and...
Also, I messed up the question earlier. He's talking about coverage for the processor heatsink. Like, does this? Are you worried about it covering the whole thing, or is it too small?
I'm not worried about it now. Clearly, AMD's guidance is like, yeah, it looks really weird because when you put that on there, it's going to make a circle about 1.5 inches wide. The rest of that heat spreader is not touching anything. Ideally, you should have more there should be more contact. Unfortunately for AMD, there's really nothing that big out in the market today. So,
But you assume it's coming.
but I mean, I know it's coming. I think people have to redesign for these big giant CPUs. So again, see, I split it. What is this? Oh, that's for the rear fan. Let's pull that.
Should people wait?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can wait if you really want to, like, hey, you're going to be pushing heavy overclock or something, or you want. They work fine. If they didn't work, AMD would not have certified them to work. So they do they do say they work. Oh, and I have no. See, here's the other thing: is like this would be plugged in already. Now I have to find an open CPU file. 6 plus 2.
Would you like my whole flashlight?
Oh God.
Pro move, flashlight in the mouth.
Wow. There we go. See?
Man,
So
if
plug it in
only
place.
we had a non-modular power supply.
Yeah, if we only had mod, I wouldn't have had to worry about it. So there we go, we're good. Motherboard all powered up. We have our main power. We have our EPS 12D, our ATX 12D. That's all the power you need. Yeah, you can plug in the fans or whatever. We'll worry about that later. Right now, let us go ahead and mount the CPU core, right? Makes sense? Or should we put the hard drives in? Yeah, hard drive is easy. What do you think? So again, good reason to leave the plastic on here. Leave that little thing on there because it's going to be flopping around the inside of your machine. So the question is, am I going to run an optical drive? If you are, then you're going to want to mount it as.
No one's asking that question.
No one's asking. No one's going to mount the optical drive.
No.
Or do we want to go this way? See, that's too much.
Also, Dan, bump it down one. There we go, cool.
Or we want to go this way?
Are optical drives necessary?
Ha.
Yes, they are still. I think so.
Fake news.
I think
I
it's still.
mean, I have a Blu-ray player.
Do you hook it up to your TV?
No,
It's a computer.
it's my computer.
Really?
Taj is asking, do you think this will run Crisis?
Maybe. We'll have to see.
It will not run Crisis. Nothing runs Crisis.
So there's a lot of chatter about Noctua's brown aesthetic. What do you guys think of it?
I think it looks great if you have, oh God, I can't think. What's that? Who's that Nordic case maker? Fractal Design.
Uh-huh.
If you have like a Fractal Design white case, right?
I get that.
You get the Fractal Design white case. You get all the nice brown accessories.
Of course, they make a nice white case too, but they were a little bit. I think it was their limited edition one.
Yeah, but that Fractal look.
What's it, NZXT?
Ooh, what the hell is that?
Careful.
Let's see. What is that? Right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are these fans pushing air into the case or pulling from the case and pushing out?
They're sucking out. So we're sucking air out.
Don't you want cool air from the outside?
I think. Did I miss? He smokes this.
Isn't there something about having like a certain amount of air pressure? Like,
Oh yeah, the old positive air pressure thing. What? Yeah, sure.
I take it that Gordon does not believe in this.
Well, I mean, so there's a theory that if you set all the fans to blow air into the case, then you don't get dust buildup. I don't really believe that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
But is that even really an issue anymore with these higher end cases that have the dust covers?
True.
No,
I remember my first case did not have dust covers, and my cat hair just got everywhere.
Yeah.
And then my second one, I open it up every once in a while to like clean it out, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's great.
That's just been
Yeah,
fine on these.
it really is.
You're positive. So you really believe in the positive airflow.
well, it's not so many holes so that I don't even know how you could get any kind of air pressure in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
especially a big case like this.
On this case.
Yeah, you know, don't have any cats, I think is the answer.
Well, let me give
What?
Or don't have any hair.
Wow.
Right there.
Guinea pig,
A
chinchilla.
dog will save your life, a cat will eat your body. I guess a dog will
It's
too.
all part of the natural
But at least a
cycle.
dog will try to save you.
Depends what kind of dog it is.
Look up Cat Lassie on YouTube.
I have seen that one. I'm just saying, not all dogs.
Also, we have a good question. He asked this earlier, but I didn't get to it. Ute Karash is
Yeah.
asking, hey, he understands that we mentioned it's 70% for work, 30% for gaming, but it would be good to know how these would perform with the GTX card. Could you elaborate on gaming performance? Like, what do you expect it to be?
Oh, well, it's a 1080 Ti, so, I mean, honestly, you're talking ultra settings at 1400, 1440 or 1600p, no problems. You know, some games at 4K. Also, I guess if you want to push 240 or 140 hertz panel at 1080, plenty. Again, you know, there is some argument that, well, you should be using a Quadro because it's a work machine, so you want 10-bit color, you want all that other stuff. Well, you know, 10-bit color paths are probably nice, but you're paying a really pretty price for a Quadro.
The screw ball.
Just some of these.
No, just the
Alright,
zip ties.
Okay, so we're good there. What, does people want us to speed up? See, this is the whole point. You know what? It's like if you went fishing, and then you like, okay, we're done, half an hour, we got it, let's go. No, that's not the whole point. The whole point is like, go fishing and be gone the whole day.
Not to
Not
catch
at all.
any fish.
I mean, and to be fair, he's been talking so much, I only clicked it away half a beer.
Yeah, too much talking. Too much talking. So the question is,
Yeah, what are we gonna do with this?
now we are going to hope this works with this mount.
You know, reaction.
This in the back?
Gordon has
Or
a
what?
secret for that thing.
Oh yeah, you wanna,
Gordon has a special secret for that, so
for what?
for that cable, this cable that she's playing around with right now.
Yeah, I will ship, well,
I just wanna get out of the way while we're doing this, that's all. It's not gonna be for us.
Dan was seeing that. See, Dan and Ed were not impressed. See, like, well, I'm just going to show you this because you know what? Okay, here we're just having fun here. Like, check this out, Lena. So I think it's cool. So
Oh
Look,
no.
Tell us if
Here we
you're
go.
you
impressed by
see
this.
here, Adam just see you heard.
Can you do a poll on? Can you do a poll?
Okay, yeah, I'll put this out here, Facebook, YouTube, right now. Gordon is going to show you an extra special trick.
Adam just groaned. He was like,
Yeah,
We
and
need
"Oh."
to
you
know
gotta-
if you think this is impressive.
Yeah,
or
you
not.
gotta
So
you gotta
this is
see
like-
you gotta tell if it's impressive or
Look,
not.
this is very different too. But look, in the old days, these would be three separate cables. They wouldn't be ribbon cables. So you're like, this looks kind of ugly, right? So what you could. This is Robert Pierce. I don't know where he got it from. He may have gotten it from somebody else. Robert Pierce from Corsair, who really has pioneered a lot of cool touches and cases. Gotta give him that. Look at this. Old, some Iraqi veterans, Iraq war veterans, not Iraqi veterans. And look, so you do this. You don't really have to do it with new cases today. Look, so I'm not gonna look. So you get a little nice pigtail there. Look at that. Huh? See, you guys are lucky. In the old days, you had to do that to make it look halfway presentable.
So now we just flash the RGB lights and.
Now you don't have to do anything. Now you just like, look, everything's black. It's all hidden in the black case.
What's the ratio of people impressed and not impressed?
Well, there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm gonna wait for a second. But
On the poll.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
well, actually, you know, our viewership is just dropping immensely. Hundreds of people have just left. I'm just kidding. No.
Okay, so this, I'm gonna hope this works. I believe that Corsair does use Asetek. So this is a stock mount for most Intel. You just basically, it was on here, I'm gonna put it back on. So it's clicked into place, you take it, I was clicking it from this point of view, counterclockwise. Take that off. Again, inside your Ryzen Threadripper box, you get this, right? So this should just lock in place. Now we're ready. Now I don't know if the orientation is correct, but I just want to show you. So look, now it's ready to be screwed down into the Hey, look, not bad.
All right.
The Corsair logo is upside down.
What?
No, sorry. There we go. Hey, I got it right.
There we go. Also, yeah, it looks like you actually got a couple people who were impressed with your cable.
Ah, see?
Yeah.
What's the ratio of impressed and
Are they old guys too? Oh, back in the old days.
Well, we only have one negative comment from Huddleston Cheddar Brian. Nice name. He says, "Who cares?" And then the rest of the people either say they like it, or they're impressed, or they think it's kind of cool.
That one person has no joy in their soul.
Yeah, well, that's yeah.
What, they don't like it?
It happens.
I think it's if you have nostalgia for landline rotary phones, you know, the corded kind of coily thing,
Yeah.
then you like this trick.
Yeah.
Look at,
If you have no nostalgia,
look at that nice pigtail.
I mean, yeah. Most people are saying it's cool.
It's got a nice retro vibe.
You know, back in the day, you had to sleeve your own stuff. Look, this was just bare wire before. We had to take these things. You took the ends off, and then you had to sleeve it and hope you put the damn thing back together the right way.
that's the legit way of doing it.
Yeah, that's all I'm hoping.
Nice.
So I'm using a star pattern. So earlier, when we installed the CPU, we followed these instructions, you know, 1, 2, 3, but I'm using a star pattern. So if you were putting a tire on your car, you do this one, this one, this one. So we're sort of walking it down.
Mr. Ent18 on YouTube is asking, do you remember those old AMD Athlons with the exposed CPU?
Oh yes.
Yeah, putting the heatsink on that was the most nerve-wracking part.
Yes, for young people who don't know, before AMD started putting these fancy things called heat spreaders on, it was just an exposed die. Those old Athlons, Athlon XPs. If you were installing your cooler and you pushed on, you really remember, because you had to put the little cooler on there and you put an immense amount of pressure on it. If you just got it at the wrong angle, it would crack off the end of the die and you would kill the CPU. So yes, that did suck. Okay, so we got that in. Very easy, but you see, that's why I left the RAM out of this, because I wanted easier access to this. I'm going to go ahead and plug in.
This is also because it's water cooled, right? If it was a big giant block, would you think it'd be easier to go the other way? So if you had giant fans just taking up that entire area, would it
Yeah,
be
you would have to see again. I don't want to get into the whole I don't like air coolers thing, but
But he's got
if you had an air cooler that's this big, you got to use low profile RAM. You can't see your pretty LED RAM. It covers everything up. They are beautiful coolers, but yeah, to install an air cooler, I probably would have had another 3 people come in to help me do it. But yeah. So
I have a good question on Facebook from Chris Thean.
Yeah.
If Threadripper had a stock cooler, what would you want it to be?
I don't know. I mean, it'd have to be. It's a premium CPU, so you've got to have a premium cooler. I think it'd have to be. You know, it should be like a great big notch. It should be something impressive. But you know, the problem is then you're shipping, you know, a 2-pound metal block to somebody. Not everybody's going to have a case that's going to fit it, so it's probably unlikely. So this is G-Skill memory. You want to install RAM? So wait, where's our manual? Where do I?
While you're doing that, Tech and Gamer for Life on YouTube asks, why aren't you changing the original thermal paste?
Well, I think most people who are, you know, building a stock build like this, for the most part, this is a nice build, but it's a stock build. I would just go with the thermal paste that they've given you. You know what? They've done their engineering, right? They've done their work. It's not like they just went down to Walmart and bought the 5-gallon tube of it. So they've done the work to make sure that it is probably, for the cost, the best thermal paste you can get. Yeah, if you want to make it better, get more thermal paste. At the same time, then maybe wait and get a water block that's bigger to make more contact with it. So again, we are going to be running
So what's left
some
up
inner
is it?
pairs. So we're going to do the inner pairs. So here, 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 and here. And of course, they're not for people who have never done RAM before. You want to explain it to them. You got the notches have to match. The slot. Which,
That way.
you know what I'll never understand? Hey, Jeddick, when you put the notches in these memory modules, why don't you make it so this notch is so far you can immediately tell? Like a lot of times you're like, is that right?
Not
No,
sure.
that's pretty
So
close.
Gently.
Yeah, look, it's almost in the middle. It's like you put the notch in there to make sure they put the ram in the right way, but you put it in the middle. How about putting it all the way over here? Because you'd go like, oh yeah, I can just tell from 5 feet away which way to put the memory in. But no, they don't
Like
do that.
USB-A, where you're just like, wait, no. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Third try.
Third try. It's
Okay,
always
which
third
one am
try.
I doing again?
Oh, right. So we are doing the
Very
the-
first one? Right
this
here?
pair. So this inner pair here,
So
and
this
then
inner pair here?
yeah, and then
And
the
this
same
inner
same on the
pair
other
here?
side.
Okay.
Again, reading manual. Read the manual. This could be different for your motherboard. May not be on Threadripper, but again, if you're building an Intel board, if you're building an older AM3 board, read the manual. Don't follow the color coding because it probably doesn't make any sense. If you've read motherboard manuals, a lot of them are almost intentionally designed to confuse you. They sit around there and they laugh about it. They're like, I'm gonna put this line in to confuse them. I'm making that up, they don't really. But if I worked in a motherboard company, I would do that. I would do it just to confuse you.
We got a real good question from Christians on Facebook. He doesn't understanding how water cooler works. Can you explain to him a little bit, real quick, while we're doing that?
So basically, I should have brought some examples. If we had an air cooler, it's just basically a big block of metal that wicks heat away. Fan blows through the fins, blows that hot air out. Water is better because you basically have a cold plate right here. There's usually a copper plate. There are fins in there. There's a lot of proprietary designs and how the fins are laid out inside. There's then water pumped through one hose, goes across those fins through the radiator, and there are fins in here, and the fans blow through the fins, very much like your car, unless you have a Volkswagen Bug, an old one, blows it out, wicking the heat out of the system. Water cooling, water is a more efficient way to transfer heat than air, obviously, and generally water cooling will be better than an air cooler. Although, again, you get one of these great big Noctuas, those are really damn good coolers. And they're also, I don't know, bigger than my head. So.
Nice.
So I'm going to jump real quick here.
Okay.
Just since we're explaining things for people who may have never done this before, I just want to point out as I'm dropping in the RAM sticks, if you've never done this before, make sure you pop open the slot right here, the little tab, so that when you, because what you're going to do is when you pop it in like this, once everything's lined up, I think it is, make sure you line everything up so that it goes down the tab here. Although I have a little issue here for him with this
Yeah, it's
cable.
really
tight.
close.
Okay.
Well.
Okay, so as you slide it down,
Do we want it to be safe or do we want to be able to read that logo? I say read the logo, right?
make sure.
Ulrich on.
So as you press down, you're gonna, that tab's gonna pop up and you should hear it actually click if it seats properly. I don't think I've got it in properly. That tab. I don't think I have enough room with this cable board,
That cable pushing.
because it's overlap on top of each other, so.
I'm gonna say this is, for an X399 board, is pretty small. Shoot.
Great, can you
Yeah, I'll
kind of
handle
hold
this.
that?
Yeah, that is a really,
This is not something I'm expecting to encounter in a full-size build.
well, it's this motherboard. I mean, this is actually,
Run into with a small form factor.
I like this motherboard because it's small. The X399
Yeah, okay.
ROG Zenith, so big I couldn't get it into half the cases I had here. It would fit in the 750, but it would reach out to here. It was a giant giant motherboard. Giant motherboards are great because there's more room to work on stuff. But this is a good motherboard for a lot of smaller cases.
How many different types of RAM are there these days? Because I feel like when I first started building, there was like a million types of RAM. And you go to Fry's and you'd have to.
We have Obraxis in the YouTube chat. He has this board and he's saying that those slots are wrong. Can we
Okay.
double check those?
Oh, well, let's see.
Well, you told me inner ones, so I was just doing what I was told.
Look, GDR1A. So what, channel is, oh, two, what?
2 and 4 is what
Good
he's saying.
Lord.
Yeah, that's what I think Dan was saying earlier, yeah?
See, look, again, this is like they do this. You know what? They're working in Taiwan. They're like, Man, I'm angry. You know what? My manager was yelling at me. You know what I'm doing? I'm gonna screw with my customers. Look at this. He's right, look. Because channel A is 1A, 2A. But I don't, and then 3B, this is when they blew the enterprise up. This is like the code they use. And then 2B.
You know, Brad says you should have installed the RAM in the motherboard before installing it in the case.
Yeah, but it's easy now. So we're gonna. So this is my fault. I will do this. I will do this because it's my fault. But so anyway, we're doing.
Do it.
See, look at this. The
Which
2A.
slots do we want?
No, wait a minute. 1A. What's 1C then? See, look at this. How? See, this is.
What is this? 4 modules? What does it say? Is that one?
It really it should not be this hard. It should just it should be very easy to read and just go, use these.
Yeah, click here.
Go for the days where it was actually color
So
coded.
4,
Obraxis is going to check his as well.
3, no, I think you are right. I think you're right. So we're doing 1A. Channel B is 1B. 1C, oh wait, so there's the pattern. So 1A, 1B, 1D, wait. What? No, I think we're correct, man. I think we're correct. Wait, you know what? Elena has not been drinking, she can read this.
I'll do my best. Not that there's any pressure.
Dave on Facebook has a good little tip. RAM slotting is based on the preferred path of electricity through the system. The CPU will expect to give and receive from the preferred slots before the second rank of slots. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but you do follow the correct order the motherboard vendor tells you.
Do you have that pen in?
Yeah. Right? I mean, this is
Yeah,
so I think it's actually,
it is
look,
confusing.
we're going channel A, B, C, D. We're going 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. That's the pattern, right? But that's right. 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
the correct, it is actually, ha! We were right! Give me another beer.
We'll also find out when we actually boot this thing.
Well, it'll work. And that's,
So I really can confirm it. Once it's
yeah. That is one of the problems with putting the memory in the wrong slots.
So Obraxis has his in 1, 3, 6, and 8.
What?
Obraxis has his in 1, 3, 6, and 8.
6
1.
and 8. He has it in 1, 3, 6, and 8. So he has it in 1, 3, 6, and 8. So he's doing inner here and outer here.
Yeah, I think for
Which
the shortest path is the 1A that they're doing there. Right.
are you on your second one?
Yeah.
Nice. That's gonna work. I
Yeah.
get it. Alright, what are you gonna do next?
We got a RAM in. Why don't we, okay. Well, hard drive is not a big deal. Why don't we wire up front? You want to do the front panel connectors? Although I do have a tip. Now I've learned so you'll notice in these memory slots, just since we're on memory, use your thumbs right to push in. But so this is slotless. I mean the clipless, right? There's no clip on this side because it's cool. You don't have to do the clip because your video card is rubbing up against it. Right on low profile boards. What I found though is on this one, when you push the memory in, the left side clicks, but oftentimes it's like half the time I don't push the right side in because there's no audible click, and this side is usually canted a little bit. I definitely you should make sure that on the clipless side, I just spit on the motherboard, you want to make sure that it's pushed down all the way. Yeah?
Also, Brad says, yeah, for our next build, we should just get just fill all the slots with RAM.
Yeah.
Who originally suggested that?
There's a couple people mentioning that.
Yeah, and again, that's a great solution if you can afford it, but you know, you do have a problem though, is if you do that, you're not going to be running it at really high clock speeds. In fact, like on the original Ryzen 753, if you run all the memory slots full, you're not running 3200. I think it was basically JEDEC speeds only. AMD at that time, they may have updated it, but at the time, it only supported DDR4 2133. So.
Alright, front panel. My my favorite part, which is to say, not necessarily my favorite part. So for this, have to use the manual, typically, unless it's labeled appropriately.
Now, I gotta say, this is everybody gets this wrong 50% of the time. For the most important one is your power, of course. So, reset switch.
And this is the one where you have to look for the little arrows so you know which one is your ground and which one is your active one.
Yeah, so they used to be colored.
It's a little hot, Dan.
It's gonna be dark when she reaches in.
You mean get some light in there?
No, it's fine.
So the one with the triangle is your active one.
Yeah. So triangle is negative, but yeah. Oh wait, there we go. Oh, nice.
Negative?
No, I thought you were talking about the reset power. Reset power, don't worry about polarity, doesn't matter. But on your power switch, your power LED and your hard drive activity LED, those have to be installed correctly. So what are we doing here?
Which motherboards come with the little helpers? I always like those.
Oh, you know, maybe there are some here. I'm just making a lane of work hard for some reason. This motherboard may come with it. You know.
I have an Asus.
Yeah, Asus does that. Asus.
Yeah.
So if you've ever done this before, you'll feel it when you push it down when it hits the bottom. I usually like to just kind of touch a little with my finger and not just make sure it's even.
Oh,
And inside my head I'm chanting, go gently, don't mess this up.
what is this?
Seems to work so far.
John W. on YouTube's asking, why can't you run all the memory slots at 3200?
You can't run all the memory slots at 3200 if you fill all the DIMM slots, typically. Again, on Ryzen 7, originally, when it first came out, they may have updated it to support different memory configurations since. If you ran all 4 DIMM slots fully loaded, you could only hit DDR4 2133. Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't get this wrong once, then you're not doing it right. So you have to, in order to actually do the front panel connectors right, you have to get it wrong once. And what I do love is everybody uses, this is the Intel front panel connector layout. Everybody uses it now. For the longest time, ASUS was a holdout, which really kind of pissed me off. At this point, case vendors can do a solid block. They could do all of that in a solid block because there is nobody who does not use Intel front panel connectors. Hey, Corsair, Silverstone, Phoenix, all you guys, why don't you guys start including just a solid block because there are no more holdouts. ASUS has finally come over, make it a solid block. And what I'm talking about, instead of having a separate leads for power, reset, LEDs.
Do you have a speaker thing?
No speaker.
Okay, then we're good.
Cool. All right, so front panel, look, you know, again,
That's pretty ugly.
it's ugly.
You might want to route it.
You can route it later, you can go different ways, but you know, again, you curse yourself. If you do all the really clean wiring, you curse yourself, it ain't gonna work right. I'm just telling you that from my experience.
Oh, I know. It's happened to me.
And 2's in there. Well, why don't we do video card?
Do you want to actually drop in the hard drive yet?
Yeah, we can do the hard drive.
We were trying, probably should figure out the cables, because once you put the video card in, it might be hard to get to the header.
Yeah, so we're gonna what? I actually grabbed the SATA cable. Oh, look at this. Pretty. Look at this. This is some pretty stuff. Look at this. Remember you had to go to like a custom PC supply store to get your braided SATA cable up there?
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Good job, Gigabyte/Aorus. That's just pretty. Premium feature there.
Oh, and you got the right angle one too. That's nice.
Yeah. What do you want? You want to use the right angle one for this?
Let me think.
So you can go, well, let's see, how does the tray work? Probably both ways, right? So we can probably mount it either way. No, if we go that way, I think it's going to hit the back of the case. And this case is cool up. Dan, you get a shot of this. You can put your 2.5 inch drives here for your SATA drives. Don't get an M.2 drive instead, please.
Oh, hey, we got a good question. Ravuk100 on YouTube was asking if we decided on sound card, yay or nay.
Oh,
But we Yeah.
Should I go get one?
I mean, if you want to, but
I thought
it's.
we were talking about how it was better to do external for content.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. I think that's what I would personally settle on is just getting an external. But you know, I mean, if we have one laying around.
I'm gonna go grab it. We should do it. Just you know what?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna go. I will be right back. Elena will sell the hard drive.
Sound loss of 16?
Yeah, we're gonna go get a classic.
I may actually need